T minus 1 minute. T minus 50 seconds. T minus 40 seconds. T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Right now on Truth Today, Damascus has fallen. Are we witnessing more Bible prophecy being fulfilled? We're going to examine Turkey's role, Iran's role, and what this means for Israel in these last days. You don't want to miss this show right now on Truth Today. Well, good morning, good afternoon, folks. Thank you for joining us here live on Truth Today. This is Pastor Sharam Hadian, Truth and Love Ministry. My apologies. We had a technical issue with our sound this morning, and so I apologize again about the late delay. That's on me, but I'm excited to have behind the camera, Elias is back home. He is back from his discipleship school, and he is back helping me run the shows. And so we welcome him back. Glad to have him home. Excited for what God's going to do next in his life and through what he has experienced. But anyway, thank you guys for being with us this morning, this afternoon, depending on your time zone. Hey, a couple of quick things. Would you visit our website? We are streaming to Rumble right now, obviously, but if you can visit our website, tillministry.com, tilministry.com. Check out all our content. By the way, our brand new DVD, Israel is Not Replaced. It is so relevant, especially with what we're talking about today. We lost the feed there. What happened? All right, so we are sorry about that. We lost the image there for a minute. So our brand new DVD, Israel is Not Replaced. It's right up there. If you go up a little bit higher, Elias, please, right there, and then just go ahead and take that website off. You got to hide that. So anyway, we're just getting used to running the show together, being back together. So that's our brand new DVD, Israel is Not Replaced, and that is now on our website for pre-order. Go ahead, please. And if you go to the pre-order page of our order page, you'll see that you can pre-order the brand new DVD, Israel is Not Replaced. Check out our events calendar. We have some events coming up back in February. We'll be getting those up on the website here soon as well. Also, if you're on Rumble, will you do me a couple of favors? One, would you mind checking the follow button if you're not following us, so we can build up our subscribers, and also click like if you enjoy this content, if this is edifying and a blessing. So I'm sorry if some of you, a couple of you were saying that you didn't get notification today. I'm sorry about that. We'll check our text alert. We did send it out, but I don't know if some people did not get it. So again, technology, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Today, we're going to be talking about Bible prophecy. A lot of what has been going on over the weekend on overseas in the Middle East and in Syria. We've been watching this and monitoring this for the last week, but over the weekend, the city of Damascus fell to these so-called rebels, nothing more than Islamic jihadists. We'll talk about that. Bashar Assad, the dictator that has been running Syria, this family for the last 53 years, fled. He's missing. We don't know where he is. There was reports that he was going to Russia. So today's show is called Damascus Has Fallen. Damascus has fallen. Bible prophecy being fulfilled. We are witnessing Bible prophecy being fulfilled before our very eyes. And you'll see that here in just a minute as we look at some passages from the scriptures. We need to bring this up, please, before you go. So this is, let's go to our Bible passage. And we're going to be starting off in Isaiah chapter 17. Isaiah chapter 17. And if you have your Bibles, turn with me there to Isaiah chapter 17. And we're going to be looking at this together. It's a proclamation that God is bringing forth against Syria and Israel. Now, I need to lay out the backstory here, because as we've talked about in Bible prophecy, there is oftentimes in Bible prophecy a dual fulfillment, meaning that there's going to be an immediate fulfillment or a near fulfillment, and then there's going to be a fulfillment in the last days, in what is yet to come. And that is not a unusual thing within Scripture, that there is a dual fulfillment when we look at Bible prophecy, especially when you come and look at Scripture through the lens of understanding the different plan of God for the church, for the bride of Christ, and a different plan of God in dealing with Israel, the chosen people, the nation, the land, the promises of the covenant of Abraham. We call that dispensational, so that we have a different dispensation, a different plan. This ministry does not believe that these prophecies have already been fulfilled. This ministry does not believe that we are in a post-millennial reign of the church. We are yet to see the reign of Christ come. We're in the last days. The church is on the earth. The church is here. The church is ministering. The church is occupying. The church is spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ, but yet we're not in the kingdom age as some in the church ascribe. That's, again, what we call dominionism or kingdom now theology. We do not support that theology. I do not believe that theology is biblical, nor is preterism, which teaches that all these things are in the past. Israel has been replaced. Hence why we're doing the brand new DVD, to make sure that we can correct that and bring about some truth from the Word of God on all these issues, including the myth of Palestine, that there has never been a Palestine, never will be a Palestine, and we go through all that. But what we are talking about today is Damascus specifically. And Damascus was mentioned in the Bible before. So you have to, in order to understand, a lot of people, and I've seen some articles, and can you go to screenshot down one there for me? Click on that. No, the one above that. Screenshot there. So here is an article that was up in the Harbingers, right? The rapidly shifting Syrian civil war and the burden of Damascus. Now, this was from Amir Sephardi. Some of you have heard of Amir. And he was talking about Isaiah 17. Go ahead and please come back to me. So before you look at Isaiah 17 and the specific prophecy about Damascus, which we're going to look at just in a minute, you have to look at Isaiah chapter 7, because it speaks of the destruction of Damascus at some point. So not just fallen, not just that it's fallen, but the utter destruction of Damascus. The Bible prophesies that Damascus specifically will be utterly destroyed at some point. And so if you go to Isaiah chapter 7, this is what the prophet Isaiah speaks in the days of Ahaz, the son of Jotham, the son of Uzziah, king of Judah, Rezin, the king of Syria, and Pekah, the son of Remaliah, the king of Israel, came up to Jerusalem to wage war against it, but could not yet mount an attack against it. Verse 2, when the house of David was told Syria is in league with Ephraim, the heart of Ahaz and the heart of his people shook as the trees of the forest shook before the wind. Now, this is setting up the backstory that Syria has been an arch enemy of Israel going back to the time of the divided kingdom. Pre-Christ, we're talking about during the prophecy of Isaiah, which was ministering to the northern kingdom and to the southern kingdom at the same time. So we're talking about at least 2,700 years ago. So Syria has been an arch enemy of Israel for 2,700 years. And the Psalm 83 prophecy that is talking about the nations that come, which the majority of those nations are in modern day Syria, maybe Western Iraq, maybe parts of Lebanon, but the Ammonites, the Moabites, all the ites nations, particularly Moab, right? That's Syria. And this is why I keep saying that Gaza is nothing but Arabs. They are Arabs that are pan-Arab. Many are Jordanian, many are Syrian. So Syria, Jordan, Western Iraq, that is the region that we're talking about in modern time that Isaiah 7 is talking about. And so Isaiah 7, verse 7 through 9 says this. This is what the sovereign Lord says. It will not take place. It will not happen. For the head of Aram is Damascus, and the head of Damascus is only Rezin. Within 65 years, Ephraim will be too shattered to be a people. The head of Ephraim is Samaria, and the head of Samaria is only Remaliah's son. If you do not stand firm in your faith, you will not stand at all. So victory will not come to Ephraim and Damascus. The southern kingdom will resist falling to their enemies. So specifically now talking to Judah, right? The king of Judah, the southern kingdom of Israel. Remember, the northern kingdom has already fallen to the Assyrians. So the southern kingdom now, and this is now Isaiah chapter 9. So we move forward to Isaiah chapter 9. That the destruction of Ephraim and Syria is also foretold in Isaiah 9. Here we go. Behold, Damascus will cease to be a city. Remember, if you joined us late, and those of you who are joining us again, we're talking about Damascus has fallen, and we're witnessing Bible prophecy being fulfilled. Now, and some of you, somebody mentioned on here that Sephardi is saying Damascus has fallen but not destroyed. Exactly, right? That's my very point. Damascus has fallen, but it has not been destroyed. That's a big difference, right? And we're going to look at that. But just going back to this passage, behold, Damascus will cease to be a city and will become a heap of ruins. The cities of Aroer are deserted. They will be for flocks which will lie down, and none will make them afraid. The fortress will disappear from Ephraim, and the kingdom from Damascus, and the remnant of Syria will be like the glory of the children of Israel, declares the Lord of hosts. So the Lord decreed here, the Syrian monarch was killed, and the great city of Damascus was sacked by Assyrians. And it's the Assyrians that took over again the northern kingdom. Now, as I mentioned, there is a near and far or dual fulfillment of the prophecy. The Assyrians pillaged Damascus, but Damascus did not cease being a city as prophesied. Now we're going to go to Isaiah chapter 17. So the question is, when will the city, as we just read in Isaiah 17, so 9 and then 17. So I read to you Isaiah 7, we referenced Isaiah 9, and I read to you Isaiah 17 from the ESV. I'm going to read it from the New King James in a minute. So you see there in Isaiah 17 that the city at one point will be destroyed. Now, I'm not saying that that's what this is right now. Has not been destroyed, right? It has fallen. So now if we go to Isaiah chapter 17, once again, and I'm going to read to you now from the New King James, okay? This is referenced as the burden against Damascus. Again, behold, Damascus will cease from being a city. So that has not happened yet, correct? It has not happened yet. And it will be a ruinous heap. The cities of Aroer are forsaken. They will be for flocks, which will lie down. No one will make them afraid. Again, I just read that, but just from the ESV version. Now I'm reading from the New King James Version. And in verse 4, it says, in that day it shall come to pass that the glory of Jacob will wane, and the fatness of his flesh grow lean. It shall be as when the harvester gathers the grain and reaps the heads with his arm. And it goes on to say then in verse 9, in that day his strong cities will be as forsaken bow and an uttermost branch, which they left because of the children of Israel, and there will be desolation. And so this prophecy that many are citing, including Amir, is yet to be fulfilled in its fullness. But we know that before the beginning, or at the beginning of the 1,000-year reign of Jesus, when he comes back as King of Kings and Lord of Lords, this prophecy has to be fulfilled. And so the consensus would be that at the beginning of the millennial reign, it will have been destroyed. It will be in ruins, meaning at the end of the tribulation, the 7-year period, Damascus will then be utterly destroyed. Now, why do I bring that up? Because obviously there are things that are happening right now, and it is historic in the sense that Bashar al-Assad and his family, correct? Bashar al-Assad and his family have been ruling now, as I mentioned, for the last approximately 53 years. And in this article that I already referenced from the Harbingers, Amir talks about that Syria, which has, again, been an enemy of Israel since its inception in 1948 as a nation. I just shared with you that Syria has been an enemy of Israel going back 27 plus 100 years. But there is a mention in the book of Ezekiel, chapter 38, that Amir references, of the Gog and Magog war, where many believe that, you know, it's a very specific scenario how that's going to happen. We know the players. We know more than likely Russia is involved. We know Iran, without a doubt, is involved because it names Persia. We know Turkey is involved because it names Turkey 4 times. We know that Libya, Sudan, probably Ethiopia, those regions now that used to be Christian that are now run by Muslims, are involved. What we do not know is the timing, because it says Israel will be in unwalled villages. Israel will be in safety. Is Israel in safety today from her enemies? No. So Israel will be in a place of safety and will then be able to let its guard down. So Amir is pointing this out, that this potentially right now, with what we've seen happen over the weekend, with the fact that Aleppo, then Damascus has fallen, Israel came into what's called the buffer zone and has now wiped out a massive portion of the weaponry that Syria and Assad had, potentially debilitating Syria. Iran has pulled out. So the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, has pulled out of Syria now. That is shocking, because we were anticipating the stronger presence of Iran, the stronger presence of Russia in Syria. They have pulled out for the time being. Russia, they're obviously fighting Ukraine, is pulling out, and Iran and Russia are both blaming Turkey, because what has happened, and I said this, I was on with my friend Brandon House last week, and I said this on his show. I said, watch Turkey. All of this is being driven by Turkey. Turkey is the one, and let this computate in our minds. Turkey, along with very likely the United States and Great Britain, have aided the so-called rebels. We saw this before, when we know that the CIA and the American deep state supported using ISIS during the Obama era, before Trump came in 2017 and decimated ISIS, the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. Remember, what is ISIS? The Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. Obama called it ISIL, the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant, which the L was for the word Levant, which includes the region of Israel. So every time Obama said ISIL, 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 he was saying that Israel belongs to the Islamic State. Words matter. What they say matters. They're sending signals to their people. So the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, ISIS, was decimated until that Turkey is the key. Turkey worked to aid the so-called rebels, because Turkey is trying to reestablish the Ottoman Empire or the Ottoman Caliphate. Somebody just mentioned that here on the comments. So I mentioned this on Brandon's show last week, that Turkey is the one who is running the Islamic movement. It is not Saudi Arabia and even Iran. It is Turkey that is going to be the head of the spear. They are the ones. And so now Russia and Iran are not happy with Turkey, because now they've had to pull out of Syria. Turkey is now going to have a stronger presence. Let's not forget that Recep Erdogan said about 2 months ago that they have on the table the invasion of Israel. So you have a dichotomy, because you have Turkey getting a stronger presence now in Syria. We're going to look at Leo's article in a minute. And then you have Israel at the same time taking out this buffer zone, moving their forces further into Syria, but not Syria, but what's called the buffer zone, right on its border there in the Golan, in the eastern part of of Israel. And the Bible has prophesied that Israel at some point has got to be in safety and security in unwalled villages. So let me show you the article from Leo. Well, actually, no, let's not go to that article yet. I want to show you from a Bible prophecy standpoint. First of all, here is the Jerusalem Post. Iran, no, go down one there, please, right there. Iran and Turkey are moving to condemn Israel's role in Syria. As I just mentioned, Israel, the IDF seized the buffer zone and the peak of Mount Hermon after the Syrian regime collapsed on December 8th, which was Sunday. The IDF also struck various threats in Syria, such as warplanes and naval vessels, so that they do not fall into the hands of these Islamic jihadists. And so even though Iran is not happy with Turkey, they both come together and they condemn Israel. Yet Turkey carried out numerous airstrikes in northern Syria, targeting the Kurdish groups there because they don't want the Kurds to have any part in Syria. They want the Muslims, the Islamic coalition there leading the way, which I'll get to in a minute. Let's go to another article from the Jerusalem Post there, the one above it, I believe. Israel, the IAF, the Israeli Air Force, strikes over, go ahead, please, strikes over 300 targets in Syria. Again, aircraft and naval fleet destroyed. IDF names Operation Bashan Arrow. Some 70 to 80% of Assad's military capabilities have been destroyed, according to this article from the Jerusalem Post. And so there's images in there in that article that show these aircraft, airplanes, helicopters destroyed. The Ramishli Air Base in northern Syria, the Shinshar Base in the countryside of Homs, and the Agrba Airport southwest of the capital Damascus were all hit, the sources say. Tanks, equipment. So this is rapidly unfolding here, and yet let's go now to Leo's article. Who is taking over? No, the screen. Let's first go to just the image, please, and then we'll go to the screenshot. No, down, right there. I believe that's Leo's article, isn't it? Yes, it is. Click on that for me. Right there. So in Syria, be careful what you wish for. Sharia law and new wave of refugees more likely than democracy following fall of Assad and U.S. meddling. Why exactly did Washington back Sunni rebels taking down Assad? And if Washington wants a Turkish-backed Sunni Muslim caliphate in Syria, should we as Christians cheer Washington getting its way? The answer is, of course, no. Go ahead and come back to me, please. Let's now go to the article, if you can screen share that for me. And we're going to go through it together. And right there. So now, if you can go down a little bit for me in the article, and let's start there. So it says, all of those in the West celebrating the fall of the Assad regime in Syria had better be careful what they wish for. I've heard some awfully dumb statements coming from conservative circles in recent days about the, quote, stunning 9-day collapse of Syria. It's not so stunning when you learn that the American CIA has been planning the offensive for months with the full support of its NATO ally, Turkey. One prominent regular guest commentator on Fox News come out and said both sides in the Syrian civil war are made up of really bad guys, but that he was hoping the coalition of, quote, rebels, which include the former al-Nusra, Al-Qaeda, and other Sunni Muslim terrorists would win. Why? Because they're against Russia and Iran, whom he fears more. So let me be very clear. This is a repeat of Iraq. This is a repeat of what happened in Egypt, where you get rid of one bad guy. This is a repeat of what happened in Iran in 1979. You get rid of the Shah, you get the Islamic mullahs coming in, and you've had 46 years of an Islamic theocracy, which is now Iran, which is an existential threat to the world. You then get rid of Hosni Mubarak in Egypt, the so-called Arab Springs, and you get the Muslim Brotherhood until the Egyptian army rose up to defeat them. Don't forget that the overthrow of Mubarak was due to Obama and Clinton, the meddling of the deep state in America. You get rid of Muammar Gaddafi in Libya to get what? Worse situation in Libya. You get rid of Saddam Hussein, bad guy, right? And what do you get? You get now worse in Iraq, totally destabilized. Christians have fled. And now you get already when Obama was president, we knew that with the rise of ISIS in Iraq and in Syria, that it was terrible for Christians. Christians were massacred. We all saw those images back then. Yet many of the refugees that were coming to America and the West that were Syrian, 97% of the refugees coming to America that were Syrian were Muslims. They were not Christians, 10% of Christians that were in Syria. So with the rise of an Islamic takeover of Syria, this is bad news for the Christians that are in Syria, whatever number is left. Let's keep going with the article, if you could, please. But even the nonsense pales in comparison to some of the other chatter out there in conservative and even Christian circles, where I'm hearing it said that there is, quote, hope now for a democratically elected constitutional republic to emerge in Syria. Give me a break. Where is there another example of such a government of, by, and for the people anywhere in the Middle East? I would actually go further and say I don't see a government anywhere on earth right now that reflects those vaunted principles. I agree with Leo there. Let's face it, the U.S. didn't support the rebels who overran Syria because they thought Assad was too brutal of a dictator. They supported them because it was yet another way to deal a black eye to Russia. Instead of Russia and Iran running the show in Syria, now we face the very real possibility that Russia and Iran will be replaced by Turkey and the Muslim Brotherhood. Exactly what I said last week on the broadcast with Brannon, that it is now Turkey that is becoming the powerhouse. It is now Turkey that is wanting to revive the Islamic Caliphate. And they are running the show. They are running the Muslim Brotherhood. And they are now on the border in that, against that buffer zone. Syria's new jihadist regime, according to Leo, has reportedly already started rounding up Christians. Goes on to say, now with the Sunnis in control of the country, we should expect nothing other than oppression, if not open slaughter of Syrian Christians. Exactly what we saw when ISIS had taken over Syria back in 2014-15. That's what Sunni Muslim regimes always do when empowered. That's their history. Read the works of historian Raymond Ibrahim, and you will get acquainted with this history. A good place to start would be to study the history of the Ottoman Empire and what they did to the Armenian Christians, the Armenian massacre genocide. I have a DVD on our website that's called War on Christians, where I go through some of the backstory of the history of Islam. And so Leo says the West and Israel are playing with fire. They think they can use one portion of Islam to punish the other portion. They think the portion backed by Iran is more evil than the portion backed by Turkey. And Leo says, I fear they are in for a rude awakening. Agreed, because Islam is Islam. So this is not good news. This is not to be celebrated. Yet, let's go off of that, please, and back to me. Yet, folks, if you look at what's going on in Israel, can we go to the article one above that? Yeah, right there. Click on that for me. Assad, Israel is saying that he was the Nero of the East, whose downfall now precedes the Messiah. So if you look at this article, Israel 365 News is now saying that they believe that the fall of Syria, which has dire, go ahead and come back to me, please, dire prophetic implications. Shimon Tubul, the deputy mayor of Beersheba, appeared on Channel 14 News in Israel, a religious Jew who serves in the IDF, and described the connection between the Messiah and the fall of Assad. He cites a story in the Midrashic literature. This is again Talmudic, not Toranic. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, the founder of Jewish mysticism. Again, as I said, this is Talmudic. This is mysticism, not biblical or from the Torah. That this will be your sign. When you see the Nero of the East in Damascus has fallen, then the kingdom of the East will have fallen, and the redemption of Israel will flourish, and the Messiah from the house of David will arrive. According to this guy, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai said this 2,000 years ago. And they're going based on numerology and this whole gematria. Remember I said that one of the rabbis in Israel said that Trump's gematria, or the letters of his name, those letters connect to a Hebrew letter and a number. You add those numbers together. And this rabbi was saying that Trump's name, Donald Trump, that adds to the gematria of the Messiah. Not saying Trump is the Messiah, but they think Trump's going to usher in the Messiah. This is all leading to the deception of the Antichrist, folks. And now you have this guy saying that the gematria, to further emphasize Assad's connection to the Nero of the East, that will bring the Moshiach ben David. They believe the Messiah that will come. Of course, they reject that the Messiah has already come. That the gematria, Hebrew numerology of Assad's name, equals the Nero of the East. And they're quoting Jeremiah 48, which says, I will set fire to the wall of Damascus, and it shall consume the fortress of Ben-Hadad. Ben-Hadad in gematria equals 65, the same as Assad. And that's why they're coming to this conclusion that this is the fulfillment of Bible prophecy according to them. Now, this is not according to the Bible, because again, Isaiah 17 very clearly is saying Damascus will be destroyed. So one more time, you joined us today. I am not saying Damascus has been destroyed. Damascus has fallen. And so potentially we're seeing, again, Assad with his father, that have ruled Syria. The kingdom, this kingdom has ruled Syria for 53 years. Bashar al-Assad and his father Hafez. So a 53-year reign has now ended in Syria. But who has taken over? Turkey and the Islamic movement. Turkey and now the Muslim Brotherhood. Turkey and ISIS. Turkey and these Islamic jihadist factions that are now running Syria. This is not good news for Israel. This is not good news for the Christians in the region, the ones who are left. This is not good news. And yes, Assad was a bad guy. Yes, Saddam Hussein was a bad guy. Yes, Muammar Gaddafi was a bad guy. Yes, Hosni Mubarak was a bad guy. Yes, all these people are bad guys, but what comes next in every one of these instances has been worse, because you're witnessing the Islamic rise, the Islamic caliphate. You're witnessing the rebirth, the reborn. There are people out there that believe that the rebirth, or the head wound, so to speak, that the Antichrist gets is symbolic. Now, I don't agree with that. I think it's going to be a person. The Antichrist is a person. The little horn that comes out of the 10 kingdoms is a person. It's a literal person. But remember, it says that it appears to be a head wound. So we don't know if he literally is going to be shot in the head and come back to life, as Revelation 13 talks about, or is it that there's a symbolic aspect to that? But certainly I believe Islam is central to the one world religion. Islam is central to global governance. So 53 years and it's done. It's fallen. And now what does this look like for Israel? What does this look like for Iran? Is this weakening Iran? Iran is already weakened. And when Trump gets in, it will significantly further weaken Iran. But Iran pulling back out, and this is what I've said. Remember, Iran is the Shia power in Islam. Turkey is now the Sunni power in Islam. And the two, though on the majors are working together, on the minors, as far as who's going to have the power and the control, have been fighting for 1,400 years since the fall or the death of Muhammad. They've been fighting. There's been a discrepancy between the Shia and the Sunni, because the Shia believe that the successor of Muhammad had to be from his family, Ali. The Sunnis believe that no, the successor could have been the other caliphs that came. Since the fall of the Ottoman Empire, that's how the Muslim Brotherhood came to be. The Muslim Brotherhood was reborn. It was a revivalist movement to rebirth the empire again, the caliphate. That's the Islamic global world order. And so this is prophecy being fulfilled, but it is not in full. Because Damascus has not been destroyed, but Isaiah 17 tells you that Damascus will be destroyed. Will be. And again, according to Leo's good article, the United States once again is meddling. And from what I understand, Trump in his first administration didn't want to topple Assad, didn't want to remove him, because it was at least a structured dictatorship rather than this Wild West that we saw, just like when Saddam fell in Iraq, just like when Hosni Mubarak fell in Egypt, just like when Gaddafi fell in Libya. In all of these examples, it gets worse, chaotic. And of course, I forgot to mention Afghanistan, that we handed over to Al Qaeda and ultimately China. So this is incredible. Once again, the deep state interference of the CIA in the Middle East, backing the Islamic jihadists, thinking that somehow that they can be controlled. Now, hear me very correctly. The CIA did not, for all those people out there saying all this, ISIS is the brainchild of the CIA, is the brainchild of Mossad. Look, they may have a hand in this stuff, but they didn't create Islam. Islam is demonic to its core. Islam is an antichrist spirit to its core. It is Satan. It is satanic. It is the symbol of Luciferian. It is Baal worship to its core. And that was not created by the CIA or MI6 or Mossad. So, Iran, we'll see what happens with Iran. We'll see what happens if we can get to the inauguration of Trump, if they haven't started World War III. Man, we are in such a corrupt government. But these are prophetic times, folks. And I'm trying to show you that the fall of Damascus is biblical. It's prophetic. The fall of Gaza is prophetic. The fall of the West Bank potentially next could be prophetic. All of this is setting the stage for the main players to then attack Israel once it feels like it's secure. Once there's been a peace treaty, once the covenant has been signed. And there is a lot of instability right now in the world, as I mentioned last week, the chaos, France's government falling, the United Nations. There's a lot of chaos right now. There's a lot of talk that potentially, once Trump gets inaugurated, they're going to release the next bioweapon. Disease X is resurfacing in Africa. Bird flu. Folks, the globalists are not done, and there's a globalist element in even the Trump transition. Don't forget, there's a technocratic element in the Trump transition. And this interference by the United States deep government, the shadow government, playing both sides, is deeply, deeply evil. And yet, in the end, for us as believers following the Bible, we know that God will use it all for his glory. Because as Ezekiel 38 says, he's putting a hook in the mouth of those nations to come up against Israel, because Israel has rejected her Messiah. As you're reading these articles, right, they believe Trump's going to usher in the third temple. They believe Trump could usher in the Messiah. They're saying that now with the Nero of the East, Assad, that the Messiah is going to, they're just sitting there. I mean, they are so ripe now for what they call their golden age or their messianic era. They are ripe for the covenant of the Antichrist to come and bring false peace, exactly as the Bible has predicted it's going to happen. And that's why I believe you have to have a ultra pro-Israel administration right now to be able to give Israel a sense of false security and false peace. If they get rid of Hezbollah up in the north, they get rid of Hamas in Gaza, they get rid of Fatah in the so-called West Bank, which is Judea and Samaria, they now are in the incursion into Syria. If they, but again, is Turkey going to then, is someone going to negotiate a peace treaty? Yes. Right? Yes. And Israel, remember, has to be safe and prosperous to be able to set up that scenario. And we have to be very discerning of these times that we are in. So, folks, stay glued to your Bibles. Stay glued to your Bibles. And again, if you want to get a copy of our new DVD, Israel is Not Replaced, that I cover a lot of what's going on prophetically. I did not cover Damascus. That may be a part 2. but that is on our website. If you go to our website at tillministry.com, go to our order page, scroll down about halfway, and you'll see the pre-order, and you can pre-order your copy. We're hoping to have it in January, ready to go, mailed out, and working on it as we speak. But we will keep an eye on this. Lord help us if Trump opens the floodgates and welcomes now more Syrian refugees into America, when he's trying to get rid of all these illegals that are here. But God's word is being fulfilled, and we got to pray. Just to wrap up, I want to ask you, thank you, all of you, for supporting this ministry. We are 100% supported by you guys. And if you are blessed and affirmed by these programs, by this teaching, by this ministry, Sundays we are teaching through the book of Revelation. It is on Facebook, and then we will get those on Rumble. But your giving is critical to us, and we are in year-end giving. And so if you go to our website, our donate page, tillministry.com/donate, there's a link there to obviously give or to mail a check. And we thank you all who are our Gideon Army of 300, our monthly supporters. And we thank you all who have donated to this ministry. And if you choose to donate as a year-end, which is deductible, we are a nonprofit under the 508, not 501, but we are an unincorporated free church under Section 508 of the IRS tax code. We can receive donations. We can give out deduction statements, which we do, which we will by end of January. You can mail in a check. That way we don't lose any percentage on it from the credit card. It's just check to TIL. And if you want to put on the memo line year-end giving, make sure you postmark it or date it before December 31st. Anything that we receive that is postmarked or dated before December 31st will count for 2024. And we thank you ahead of time for prayerfully considering that. Also, if you want to tangibly give, or I should say support the ministry, if you go to our Thrive page, we have, can you go up to that banner, please, Elias? Go back to the banner. Actually, bring up that website, The Righteous Thrive, right above that one. So here's the website, The Righteous Thrive at thrivelife.com. The Righteous Thrive at thrivelife.com. That will take you to this page. This is our page, Shopping with Shram and Michelle Hadian. And anything you purchase, amazing, incredible, the best freeze-dried food anywhere on the market, the fastest from field to can, 25-year shelf life, most of the stuff, incredible freeze-dried food. We've been shopping and using this for the last almost 10 years now. Whatever you purchase, 10% comes back to us, which we put all of it into the ministry. Now, if you only purchase a thing here or there, you got to pay retail, you got to pay shipping, it gets a little pricey. But if you sign up for their monthly plan, which is a commitment of $99 a month of food. So if you commit to spend $99 a month in purchasing food for yourself to build up your store, your pantry and your emergency supplies, then you get wholesale pricing and you get free shipping. That's a way better deal. That's what we're set up on as a family. We just do $100 of our grocery budget to this, to build up our storehouses, to build up our emergency supply, and we cook with it. It's a great way to support the ministry, and it's a great way for you to be able to build up your pantry and your supply houses. 10% comes back to us, which all goes into the ministry to support this work. So Lord bless you guys. Thank you for being with us today. Again, visit our website, tillministry.com. Visit our website, tillministry.com. We'll be back with you live Thursday. And I'm going to try to see if we can get Leo on with us this Thursday. Pray for that because I want him to comment on what's going on in Syria. I want him to comment on the anti-Semitism. I'll go back probably and cover some of what I was covering on Mike Adams when we talked about the enemy within the camp on our show on Thursday if we have time. This is Pastor Sharab Hadian saying, Lord bless you. Have a blessed rest of your week. Be praying. So much biblical prophecy is happening before our eyes, folks. These are exciting days. The return of the Lord is soon, soon coming. And we got to continue to occupy, share the gospel, be bold, and prepare for his coming. This is exciting days. God bless you guys. We will see you on Thursday night.